a side tangent story on Hinge, because I'm back on Hinge.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You back out in the streets. How is that?
Don't ask these questions. I mean, it is what it is. So you go through Hinge, you you match. Oh, you ran out of swipes for the day. Okay, cool. What do? You wait for your next day. You keep swiping. You come to a day to where he comes out to say, oh, you've run out of matches in your area. You should expand.
Wow.
That's fine. But, hear me out. If you start to pay for their little weekly plan, what you'll know is that all of a sudden there's all these new matches that were all of a sudden weren't there.
To get more money, they created this algorithm so it intentionally cuts you off so you have a paywall.
It gives you the low hanging fruit, and I forget what it's called, but whereas
a lot of these sites are being sued, by the way, for that.
For that, where you get liked by someone who's of higher status, then that boosts you in the algorithm.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's
basically,
crazy.
A lot of the lower algorithm matches or potential matches are being pushed down in the first wave, and until you pay that subscription fee, then you start seeing these other matches, higher quality of women. I'm like, okay, this is wild.
Because they see all the parameters and all the analytics, so they're like, all right, so this person is liked a lot. Yeah. So what we'll do is,
and you get a lot. And what I've noticed is I've gotten a lot more matches with the subscription on and off.
And there's this whole mentality that is, if you pay for stuff like that you're a simp. Okay, this is completely different from an OF or paying for Prime.
Because this is just to interact with people.
Yeah.
For guys, I think it's different. I think guys ghost because what it does is it keeps an option open. It creates a question. So it's like, you know what? If option C, D, E, F don't work out, I can always come back to B. But that's why guys do it. But then girls do it out of safety because guys don't know how to handle the rejection of being rejected or not getting the sex that they wanted or not being able to go on that second date.
They wanna mold us into the perfect clones, but I'd rather be a misfit, stand alone. Social sabotage, breaking these chains, I won't be a victim.
I know we've talked about women being bad at handling rejection. I feel like when you reject a woman, especially when she's making any kind of sexual advances towards you, then she starts to bring up or bring into account your sexuality or sexual preference. And I'm like, what does that have to do with my answer of no?
It's weirdly as if a way of peer pressuring you into giving them what they want. So let me take away from his sexuality and take away from his masculinity, because then it's like, all right, not just your sexuality, your sexual orientation. It's, all right, what are you not working with a lot? And then they just go to attacking you, and it's almost like I said, trying to pressure you into doing stuff, because it's happened to me. You turn someone down and they get upset that, or they start blowing up your phone, or they go to other people and even talk crap behind your back.
It's a guilt trip.
Absolutely.
But now let's talk about men and rejection and how the lack of being able to handle it healthily leads to crimes of the sexual nature.
Oh, wow.
Leads to crimes of the violent nature, mainly against women. And a lot of these things that these dudes do in response to being rejected, it leads women to be extremely defensive in the world. So a defense you may not know of being a defense, but we've seen it before, maybe ghosting.
Oh, yeah.
So
we've all done it, or been done to us, So it's the new cultural norm,
In a world where women don't feel safe enough to express how they feel, say they're on a dating app or whatever, because they fear that the guy is going to be belligerent, violent, or feel like they are entitled to a particular outcome. We've spoken about detachment before, and I used to be a big proponent of that. I've kind of stepped away and kind of put myself out there a little more. I feel like there's a level of detachment that everyone must have, men and women, to the expectation of outcomes. So if a guy is taking a girl out on a date, sex should not be the expectation.
No.
If a guy asks a girl out on a date, the expectation shouldn't be a yes. Matter of fact, I'd go in with an expectation of a no, and a yes would just be a better surprise.
Absolutely. Because most men, for the most part, are used to rejection or used to being told no a lot.
Right.
Unless you're, Chad or Tyrone, obviously, or you got money. It's different. But
right.
And I agree that's a big thing. Same thing I agree with. If she invites you to eat, what about then? Should she be required to pay, or should you still be required to pay, or should we go Dutch?
A big thing I've seen is like if a guy invites a girl out on a date, then he's paying. And that's been...
And make sure on that date you don't take them to that list of 42 places.
God, that's the whole city of Wichita. That's all the rest.
I was like, there's nowhere to eat now. So I can't even... And a picnic's on there. You can't have a picnic.
We can't eat at home because apparently that's going to lead to sex. So
yeah. But that's how I think it's right. I agree that's right. If we're equal, if I invite you, I would think I'm paying because I invited you. I extended the invitation.
Now,
but
if she invites me, then... As a guy, I'm going to think, okay, so would you like me to pay for this or should we split this? I will put that on the table.
Of course, I will give out those options. You know, I don't expect her entirely to pay for it. I mean, that's just weird. I mean, because most people aren't going to participate for the most part. Right. Guys aren't going to participate in something if you know you can't afford it.
Yeah.
So
now, if you go on a date, you invite a girl on a date and she shows up with her kids, you pay for your own.
Whoa. Before we even sit down, or if you're already sat down and you see this tribe of kids come, I'm not saying it's a tribe, but I mean a group of people coming, at that time,
a caucus,
you have the choice to get up and walk. Look, I'm not going to deal with you. I'm not dealing with the Care Bear kids. This was, you are blindsiding me. Who's this woman? Who's this? Just like a Japanese dude. The dude was there and all the family showed up. And it's like, you got to pay for it. Well, listen, you got a budget. You should have a budget. I've got a budget. I didn't budget for this.
Right.
I didn't budget for $300. I'm not paying rent now.
But the thing about it is, if we go back to the expectation of sex, a lot of men think, you know, if you go out on a date with a woman, you spend all this time with her, you go out do an activity, you eat dinner, you know, at the end of the night, it should equate to sex.
No, that's why you're smart and you do things within your budget, or you know that, all right, if there's a potential, this might not happen. There's no guarantees.
Right.
Then you should take the L. You had a good time. Hopefully you had a good time and a good experience.
Right.
She enjoyed herself. You enjoy it. Maybe you go to the second one. Maybe you don't. But just to expect someone to put out the first night. And if anything, you as a person who thinks they're worthy of being loved and you know, accepted properly, wouldn't you look at her a little different if she just puts out there?
Well, I guess maybe girls are feeling guilty, though, because I think a lot of, well, let me not say a lot. Some women are out there just for free meals.
Well, and I get that.
So if they're out there for free meals, and they're out there, and that's their goal, and they know they're not going to give anything up, which is fine. They shouldn't be entitled to do so if they didn't want to. And then they ghost the guy because they then realize that they only used him for that free meal.
He should then not get upset and then, you know, try to delete her or nothing like that. None of that should happen. You should know... You do any of this stuff, it's a risk. There's a risk involved.
Right.
If you do not have the money to risk and lose, then don't go out there. If you know that if you decide to take her to a Ruth Chris, or you decide to ball out and buy her flowers and do all this, giving her these wife treatments or whatever.
Right.
If you decide to do that and she does not decide to pick you or deal with you or roll with you, or it's a one and done, you ain't got nobody to be mad at but yourself.
I'm about to say, do realize if you're meeting these girls on these dating apps, you're probably talking to like 5 or 6 other people. So you are in a roster, you're in a preliminary.
It's probably, and depending on how attractive she is, it's more than that. There's been, a guy just recently did this. He named himself a woman and took a picture of a chair and said he was female. Within less than 24 hours, he had over 900 matches.
He was a chair?
He said he's a chair. It's the fact that
he's a female chair.
Yes, a female chair at that. So the fact that it doesn't matter. Women are going to inherently on these things get more attention no matter what. And the algorithm's designed like that. And who's mostly going to be on these things? Men.
Right.
Men are so unless you're a very attractive guy or you got money going on, you should know inherently you're not going to get matched. So the fact that the woman's willing to go out is pretty dope.
Here's a side tangent story on Hinge, because I'm back on Hinge.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You're back out in the streets. How is that?
Don't ask these questions. I mean, it is what it is. So you go through Hinge, you know, you match. Oh, you ran out of swipes for the day. Okay, cool. What do? You wait for your next day. You keep swiping. You come to a day to where he comes out to say, oh, you've run out of matches in your area. You should expand.
Wow.
That's fine. But, hear me out. If you start to pay for their like little weekly plan, what you'll know is that all of a sudden there's all these new matches that were all of a sudden weren't there.
To get more money, they created this algorithm so it intentionally cuts you off so you have a paywall.
It gives you the low level or the low hanging fruit, and I forget what it's called, but Tinder uses it where like,
a lot of these sites are being sued, by the way, for that.
For that, where you get liked by someone who's of higher status, then that boosts you in the algorithm.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's
basically,
crazy.
A lot of the lower algorithm like match or potential matches are being pushed down in the first wave, and until you pay that subscription fee, then you start seeing these other matches, higher quality of women. And I'm like, okay, this is
because they see all the parameters and all the analytics, so they're like, all right, so this person is liked a lot. Yeah. So what we'll do is,
and you get a lot. And what I've noticed is I've gotten a lot more matches with the subscription on and off.
And there's this whole mentality that is, if you pay for stuff like that, that you're a simp. Okay, this is completely different from an OF or paying for Prime.
Because this is just to interact with people.
Yeah.
It's
an investment. It's an investment. If you want to get more of the pool opened up to you without going to a club or a bar or putting yourself in atmospheres that are not, you got a lot of, liabilities rolling around you.
Right.
A lot of opportunities. At least here, safety of home, wherever you're at, you can do it. You have more time to talk to this person. Get some time to, kind of vet them a little bit more.
Well, because, we live a lot. We live busier lifestyles.
Oh, absolutely. So for you might not have a weekend off. You have to go shoot an event or go up to do whatever. You're a busy person.
Right.
So, you are out of town. So for you to think that it's not feasible to not invest in this, why not? And look, it's working. You invested and it's working, right?
Yeah, but the thing about it is, it's like, I mentioned dating apps because that's where a lot of the ghosting happens. Because that's also it's like a factory for just people to just swipe on. Yes. Why I like Hinge is just because you can kind of incorporate a little bit more personality, this, that, and the third. We've done 2 videos on dating apps. Make sure you check those out.
Yes.
But it's interesting because there was one date I know I went on where, and maybe I'm just a terrible first date. I will admit that. I'm fucking ornery and awkward. But we went on a date. It seemed great. Made plans for a second date.
Okay.
Ghosted. Which
that's
how ghosting works. But it's like.
But you're not sitting here.
But I'm not sitting here whining about it.
You're not angry. You're not figuring. But you're not coming for her on social media, stalking her. You're not doing anything weird like that.
But there is something a little bit more respectable to saying, "Hey, things were great, but I don't think this is going to work out." But which I've seen that multiple times.
So that's good. So you've seen both sides.
I've seen both sides. Yeah, so I respect that a lot more because that's what that tells me. It's like, okay, that's respectable. Things didn't work out. That's fine. Yeah. It wasn't a connection. That's great. That's fine.
But I think it's just because it's easier and everyone does it.
Yeah.
That people just rather would ghost, and then you're supposed to be You're just supposed to be okay with that.
So for guys, I think it's different. I think guys ghost because what it does is it keeps an option open. It creates a question. So it's like, you know what? If option C, D, E, F don't work out, I can always come back to B because.
So that kind of goes because you remember red pill and a lot of stuff these guys go is hypergamy because they say women are hypergamous. So wouldn't you say then that are guys to a certain extent hypergamous as well?
I would say probably to an extent. I mean, it's a universal term.
Of course, but it's equated mostly in the red pill community to just women usually are hypergamous. Women are hypergamous by nature because they want the best genetics, they want the most finances, they want the man that's going to give them the most resources.
So a guy's going to ghost this option because he wants to go for the better, and we've talked about always going for better and better and better, and never being able to settle down because you're never going to always be satisfied. You're never going to be
because there's always going to be somebody out there that's more intelligent, more attractive. Some other innate qualities you look for that you're gonna dig. So it's a never ending thing. This girl speaks multiple languages. I could travel with her. She can she's an asset. That sounds it. But then she's not so attractive. So you always find something wrong, and then it's like.
But that's why guys do it. But then girls do it out of safety because guys don't know how to handle the rejection of being rejected or not getting the sex that they wanted or not being able to go on that second date.
Is there a certain age group that the men that are reacting like this, or is it the younger men? Or
I think it's all groups, and it's just because no one's taught how to handle rejection. No one knows how to detach themselves from their outcomes.
I would also want to take a look at the household. What is there? Is it a 2-parent household? Is it single? Is it
that could be a huge play in it.
Because I find a lot of guys. Every dude's different. From some of these dudes that I find, especially fly off the deep end, tend to come from fatherless homes. Tend to be the most because they're raised up differently. Usually women are more masculine than the boys are made more feminine due to that fact. But
even the father can be there, but the father can also be this toxic figure who also probably didn't have a father in his home.
Of course.
So it's the gift that keeps on not giving.
Absolutely. But I would like to definitely see the parameters, or see the matrix, matrix on the guys that are. Kind of being like this, who are being these absolute monsters. Now, in situations like that, if there are guys that are like that, okay, Instead of making Facebook groups about guys that you know, because these women make all kinds of Facebook groups hating on dudes. But a group where a guy is legit, hey, he stalked me, he did that. I'm all for that. You know, hey, this dude, he changes his name, he changes his profile picture, but this dude's a do not go out with it. I'm all for that. Right. Same thing with guys. Hey, this chick she's married, she's lying. Don't deal with her. Or hey, dude, you know, she lie on you or whatever. I'm all for support groups like that because there are people who come into these places that aren't the best people. Right. They aren't the best people. They haven't worked on themselves. They still blaming COVID for everything. You see what I'm saying? And it's never their fault. It's everybody. And they go into these atmospheres and they create
problems and tensions.
They're problematic people, and they make everything worse because then they're the people that are loudest, usually the most problematic. Right. And they get the loudest voices, even though it's not all guys. Not all guys are like that. Look, you've got ghosted. You didn't sit here and get on social media like, oh, this is her name, this is her social.
Yeah, because that would be weird. So
absolutely,
you very rarely see that on a guy.
Yeah, but at the same time, like you said, I understand that women say that they're unsafe, but to me, the most current times, things are in the favor of women for the most part.
Don't say that to a feminist.
Why? But where's the oppression happening? You can do everything I can do. You can do everything a man can do. You just choose not to. It's a choice.
Well, because the thing about being a victim, it's all about being a victim to what's beneficial.
Well, it's actually, there's a term. Now that you said that, there's a term it's called. You probably heard of it. Schrödinger feminism. A woman is simultaneously a victim and empowered until something happens. Then she chooses which state benefits her the most.
I wish that was a more general term because I feel like that can be equated to race issues.
Oh, absolutely. But when it comes to feminism, per se, that's a legit term. That's what it is. You like it until it's convenient to you. Your victim's empowered until something happens. Then she chooses which state benefits her the most. It's essentially what you want the equality, but you don't want the repercussions or the consequences. Yeah, so you see what I'm saying?
It's like I want it, but I don't want to go to war.
Yeah. Whoa. Listen. I know we said we want to be equal, but for me to be on the front lines as a woman is wild.
Also, they made that term for pearly things.
Well, she's still around. That's still a person.
I don't know. She's fallen off the internet.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't see her anywhere. Nobody talking about her. Gone.
Well, that's the thing about grifters, man. Grifters don't have an identity.
Nope. Yeah.
And when you don't have an identity,
you're forgettable.
You fall off into the wayside.
You jump, but just the fact that she didn't jump on to the next thing, the next wave, which I don't even know what the next wave of whatever is. But anyway, guys, point is, work on that. If you know that you have issues with rejection, if you know you have some self-esteem problems, maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't put yourself in spaces where you could possibly strike out a lot.
Or put someone in harm's, because it's not okay to do things without consent. It's not okay.
It's not okay. And for you to assume that somebody was interested and then you took it the wrong way, it's not the other person's fault. You know, have a conversation, say something. Hey, you know, like you're saying,
ask questions.
That's all you do. Hey, I know you ghosted me, whatever, not a big deal, but you know, if I did something wrong, let me know, because it's not just one happening. If it's happening frequently, maybe you should take some of the stuff you said was a little weird. Oh, I didn't know that. What aspect of the things I said was a little weird? Yeah. Well, I didn't know that. I thought it was me being humorous. It's my humor.
And that's the thing about ghosting. I feel like it robs people of their growth. But
that's
at the same time,
that's a good point. Yep.
It's the world we live in, but definitely work on yourselves if you're not able to handle that kind of rejection. If you're not able to, or even if you don't want to learn about yourself, or if you don't want to grow as a person, then maybe you shouldn't be out there dating, because dating is all about growth. It's all about becoming better in yourself and then better with someone else.
That's the whole point of why you want to. You want to get along in this thing called life, and you want somebody else that's going to reciprocate and want to continuously develop and evolve. You don't want somebody that's just stuck in the same thought process, the same way of thinking, because we're evolving constantly.
Exactly. With that said, my name is Malcolm Eugene.
Will Robertson here.
This is a Happy Mother Ducker shirt.
Yes.
Where do we get it at?
Outlier Attire.
OutlierAttire.com.
Peep it.
Yeah, share 15.
Yes, and make sure you're sharing it with everyone. Men, women, everyone.
Yes. We are outro.
Yeah.